Hey, challenge fans! We're sure most of you saw our original challenge episode where we tried to come up with ways of spending $1 billion in real life in just one day. Well, today we're putting it up to our favorite lab rat and challenging him to find realistic ways of spending $1 billion in 24 hours, but because it's COVID quarantine season, he can't leave the house. So can you really spend a cool $1 billion online in 24 hours? Let's find out. Alright, I bet all of you out there in YouTube land are about as sick and tired of being stuck at home as I am. Well, other than going stir-crazy, I happen to be a statistic and actually got infected. But thankfully, it was mild and cleared up in a few weeks. Turns out the girlfriend is one of the lucky ones and was asymptomatic, but just in case, we made sure to bunker up at our place like it was a zombie apocalypse survival challenge. I don't know which of the two, the girlfriend or our dog, has suffered the worst from this lockdown. She loves to be active, and this lockdown has her going absolutely stir-crazy. Our poor dog is used to going to agility training into the dog park to hang out with other pups, and the best we've been able to do with him is play fetch in the house. The other day I caught both of them staring out the window, and I swear they had tears in their eyes. You probably noticed we've been on a challenge break given the circumstances and my health, so it's kind of nice to be actually able to do another challenge, even if it's just online. Spend $1 billion over the internet without ever leaving home. That's a lot of money, and the rules of the challenge are going to make it rather difficult. First, there's no just giving it away to charity. I have to find real things to spend the money on. Second, the entire purchasing process has to be done electronically. The buying and receipt process of whatever I would buy all has to be possible remotely, never requiring a face-to-face meeting or exchange. So let's start. Okay, so right off the bat, I thought about real estate because it's the most expensive thing you can possibly buy, and I need to eat up this massive budget as quickly as I can. After all, I need to actually be able to buy everything I plan on acquiring online. Far more difficult than in person. Also, there's a sweet bonus from the infographic show on the line for me if I can hit the $1 billion mark in a realistic way. Yeah, the show's officially turning these challenges into a messed up game show. So I turned to Dubai, knowing that they have private islands for sale there, and private islands in one of the world's most expensive places can't be cheap. I had to make sure that I could actually complete a transaction fully remotely, so I did what any normal person would do. I reached out to them directly and pretended I wanted to buy an island. Turns out it's pretty damn easy. I got hold of the real estate agency by email first, and they responded very quickly and set up a time to call. Now, I couldn't just pretend to be the buyer directly because no insanely rich person handles such mundane details as buying islands themselves, so I had the girlfriend pretend to be my assistant, which worked really well because she's a very gifted actress. Within 2 hours and after just 3 phone calls back and forth between us and the real estate office in Dubai, we had an island worth $455 million lined up and ready for purchase. Now, the payment process would take a few days because, as we're told, it would have to be done via bank wire transfer, and officials in both the US and Dubai would have to inspect it. You can't just move around such massive quantities of money without the government taking a peek to make sure everything is legit. Then there'd have to be reams of paperwork to be signed and some government forms from Dubai, but all of it, I was assured, could be done quickly and completely over the internet, by phone, or if need be, fax. Boom! Just like that, I owned an island. Well, I mean, not really, but either way, almost halfway through this challenge with just one purchase, $545 million to go. I headed over to eBay because I figured that place was full of enough crap that there were bound to be plenty of things to help me reach my $1 billion budget. I was definitely not disappointed. I went to automobiles first, figuring that cars would probably be the most expensive thing there. The clock was winding down, so I had to spend my money economically, achieving a very high dollar-to-hours ratio. So I ignored anything under $1 million, and honestly, the car section is kinda disappointing to me. Sure, there were Bugattis and McLaren P1s for sale, but even after buying enough cars for myself and all my extended family and exhausting every single car over $1 million I could find, it all still only came to $43 million. Still, that's a total of $498 million and only $502 million left to go. I turned to collectibles and I found some real gems there, though nothing quite as pricey as I imagined. Still, I snagged a sweet original negative from the Hiroshima atomic bombing for $2 million, and I have to admit it was fascinating to make that find. I also found a World War II Japanese officer's sword and a top-secret British map of the front lines, both for over $1 million. What really blew my mind, though, was a piece of a letter written by the Prophet Muhammad going for $1.2 million. I wondered about the authenticity, but it came with a certificate of authenticity and the seller had over 90% positive feedback, so probably legit. Alright, I racked up a total bill of $38 million in collectible photographs, maps, and other similar antiques, though it sort of became a bit of a rabbit hole for me and I spent a good hour and a half looking through all the postings. Most of that time was while the girlfriend was on the phone with the real estate agents in Dubai, of course. Still, it wasn't a very efficient use of my time. I wasn't spending enough money per hour and I needed to step it up a notch. I turned to antiques now and was blown away by a $21 million cabinet. Yeah, you heard that right, a cabinet worth $21 million. At least to someone, anyway. Apparently, the cabinet was gifted by Queen Victoria to various British nobles. And those Brits, despite living in a democracy, they're confusingly still crazy about royals. Like 100 years ago, these guys were literally stomping on peasants' necks. And today, they're getting turned into celebrities. I just don't understand. Anyway, I thought it was funny when I found a life-sized carving of Sitting Bull's head for sale for $8.5 million. It was attributed to an early American folk artist, but the seller admits that it hadn't been authenticated. That takes some balls to sell an item you haven't even authenticated yet and ask for $8.5 million, so I put it on the list. To top it all off with some random ancient Chinese porcelain, more British royal memorabilia, and other odds and ends, and my antique shopping spree came out to a cool $74 million, putting a serious dent in my budget and making for a very efficient millions per hour spending rate. New total $610 million, $390 to go. Now, I figured art was a surefire way to spend some big bucks, and let me tell you, I wasn't disappointed here. I found some Jackson Pollock original paintings all for at least $10 million, along with 2 paintings of, streaks, also going for $10 million. Listen, I get it, I'm an artist myself, but if you're spending $10 million for a streak of paint on white canvas, you really need to check yourself before you rickety-wreck yourself, because you just got. Still, it was pricey. So into the shopping bag it went. All in all, after spending obscene amounts on modern art, my bill came down to $98 million. Interestingly though, I didn't find any paintings over $10 million, making me wonder if there's some limit eBay is willing to let dumb people spend on their site. New total $708 million, with $292 million to go. By now I'd spent 6 hours shopping and it was time for lunch, so I ordered Grubhub sushi for the girlfriend and I. Total $58.30. But I picked up that tab myself. This was going much better than I'd hoped for, to be honest. Mostly because, as I mentioned, dumb people are paying obscene amounts of money for dumb art. I figured that after all this coronavirus lockdown crap, me and the girlfriend deserved a vacation, so I looked for ways to finance a getaway with our remaining millions. I found what's billed as the world's most expensive hotel room, which is on a private submarine down in the Caribbean, called the Lover's Deep. Price tag $292,000 a night, so with airfare and a 5-night getaway, that came to $1.5 million. I threw in some fun activities like swimming with sharks, luxury yacht rentals, plus a crew, of course, and a few other odds and ends, and managed to spend $3.2 million on a 5-day trip. Thing is, it was an incredibly inefficient use of my time because it took almost 2 hours to even find the contact info for the Lover's Deep. Because as I found out, at least as of this writing, it's not a thing you can just Google. I had to have the girlfriend call down to several places at St. Lucia itself to find anyone who had contact info for the company that rents out the sub. And once again, with her posing as my very sexy personal assistant. Turns out this sub is kind of one of those unique experiences that only the ultra wealthy are supposed to know about. I feel like if I included the contact info in this video, someone might come after me. New total, $711.2 million. Definitely not a good use of my time. Alright, regular business hours for American businesses were coming to a close soon, so I pulled out all the stops for this next expense. I headed over to Space Adventure's website and got a public relations phone number to call. After a half hour of back and forths, they quoted me that for an upcoming circumlunar mission, the cost would be $117 million per person, and the trip is supposed to span less than a week and consists of 2 passengers with 1 professional Russian cosmonaut. Your spacecraft will swing around the far side of the moon without entering into orbit and return to Earth, bringing you as low as 100 meters from the lunar surface. Now, of all the things I spent fake money on, this was without a doubt the thing that had me most excited. I love space, and the thought of getting within 100 meters of the moon made me so excited that I got sad when I realized I wouldn't actually be going. Also, I would never get the opportunity to make the ultimate terrible joke by getting into space with the girlfriend, turning to her and saying, I think you're out of this world. So 2 dreams crushed in one blow. What a cruel life. Still, my new total was $945.2 million, with $54.8 million to go, except not because Space Adventures also quoted a single seat to the ISS for $55 million. And just like that, boom, $1 billion spent. Sure, I went over budget, but I guess I could just cut back some on the dumb art I bought, and yeah, it makes me a little sad that I'd have to leave the girlfriend behind while I went to the ISS, but as she put it, going to the ISS seems dumb, I bet it smells up there, but the moon is romantic. Mission accomplished, and it only took less than 12 hours. Granted, I couldn't have done it without the girlfriend pretending to be my personal assistant to various real estate and luxury resort offices, so half the credit goes to her. Now, the payment for some of these things would take a few days to sort out, but I was assured that none of it would actually need to be done in person, and the bank could handle all wire transfers electronically. So if you've ever wondered if you could really spend $1 billion online in one day, the answer is yes. Got challenge fever and can't wait for the new ones to start again? Check out the classic Eating Only What I Catch for 72 hours, or watch this other video instead.